Yo! Shing. Just like the one you get in the Underdark. Spit. He's dead. You can ensnare me all you want. I will survive. What's up, sisters? This is your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel for another Baldur's Gate 3 modded companion build guide. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, because today we are creating a wonderfully thematic build guide for Halsin, one of my favorite companions in the game. Before we get too far into it, thank you so much for watching. If you like this series, let me know by liking the video, commenting your favorite build so far down below, and subscribing for more videos like this. But without further ado, let's hop right on into the build. As the archdruid of the Emerald Grove, Halsin is admittedly all about nature. When the player first meets him, he's a bear, and eventually you find out that he's also longtime best friends with the Fey spirit of the Shadow-Cursed lands, Daniel. He's literally always talking about Silvanus, also known as the Oak Father, and the god of wild nature. Whenever you talk to him, he says, "Oak Father, preserve you," and a good chunk of his banter sounds something like, "Oak Father, harden my heart," and "Silvanus, guide my blows." As one of Silvanus' most devoted and loyal followers, we're going to be building Halsin into the ultimate Chosen of Silvanus. And to do that, we're going to be using the Oakheart Sentinel's class mod. This mod was created by Knightly ST and is inspired by and intended to imitate the way the druid class played in D&D 3.5e. This class primarily has access to the druid spell list and is compatible with Mystra spells, so we're going to be using a few supplemental spells from that mod pack. Let's go ahead and look at the leveling for this character. Starting at level 1, we are going to be scrolling down so that we can take the Oakheart Sentinels class, obviously. One of the interesting things about this class is that it has access to a ton of different animal companions, as you probably saw before. You'll start with the classic Ranger Beast companion list, including a bear, boar, spider, raven, and a wolf. Additionally, you have access to a new list of animal companions unique to the class, including a spirit eagle, a tainted bear, a blink dog, a saber-toothed cat, a winter wolf, and an owl bear. This class also starts with Speak with Animals spell right off the bat, proficiency in both nature and arcana, and it has 6 available subclasses to play with. If we go ahead and look right here at the subclasses, we have access to the Springkeeper, the Sun Watcher, the Lore Seeker, the Fey Shaper, the Fall Reaver, and the Frost Weaver. The Frost Weaver is a blaster caster who uses primarily cold spells, as you would expect. The Fall Reaver is an acid-based druid of decay. The Fey Shaper uses wacky Fey magic to curse and beguile your foes. Lore Seekers are good at infiltrating and being sneaky. Sun Watchers are like the opposite of Frost Weavers. They're big on fire damage, the sun. But the subclass that we are going to go with today for Halsin is the Springkeeper. This subclass focuses primarily on its animal summons and on poison damage as well, be able to poison our foes. One of the important things to note about this class is that with the Springkeeper, we do not get any wild shape charges, so we are going to be staying specifically as Halsin, which means that we are going to focus primarily on our spells and abilities with that in mind. Our first subclass-specific summon with the Springkeeper is Summon Hyena, which we can use a first-level spell slot and last until long rest. We also start with the ability Orb of Spring, a spell which does 2d8 poison damage, and we also have Hunter's Mark. We also start with an upgraded version of Shillelagh, which does 2d6 instead of 1d10 damage, so it brings it into line more with a greatsword. This subclass is going to start with 3 cantrips, and we are going to go with Guidance, Infestation, and Thornwhip. These are 3 really cool spells. Guidance is probably the best cantrip in the game. It will give you a 1d4 bonus to ability checks on concentration. It's just really good to use outside of combat, inside of combat, whatever you want to do. We're also going to go with Infestation from Mystra's spell mod. This is a spell from 5th edition that gives you 1d6 poison damage and forces an enemy to move either forward or backwards, just in a random direction, depending on whether they pass or save it. And this is a really cool spell because it does poison and matches with the build pretty well. We also are going to take Thornwhip because it will pull the creatures closer to us and is similar in vibe. It gives just Thornwhip. Awesome. For our first selection of spells, we are going to be taking Healing Word and Goodberry. These are 2 really great utility spells. Obviously, Healing Word allows you to use your bonus action to heal an enemy that can hear you at range. And Goodberry is how we're going to be triggering a specific item that we're going to be using up until we get to Act 3, where we can grab a specific item that will give us heals every turn. But regardless, Goodberry is a really great source of healing in the early game. For our ability scores, this class starts with a +3 and a +1 instead of a +2 and a +1. This class uses Wisdom as its spellcasting ability, and our enhanced Shillelagh allows us to use Wisdom for our attacks. So we're going to go ahead and put an 18 into Wisdom and use our +3 there. We're going to set our Constitution to 16 and give it a +1 because this is going to help us maintain our concentration spells and also give us more health, and we are going to need health a lot with this character. And we are going to be taking Dexterity at 14 because this will give us a +2 to our initiative. The specific armor that we're going to wear isn't going to give us a bonus to our armor class with our Dexterity, so this isn't super powerful here, but we still want that initiative bonus. We're going to dump our Strength and our Intelligence at 8s, and we are going to use our Charisma at 10 because that is just a good baseline, and we don't really need our Intelligence or our Strength saves for very much in this build. At level 2, we get a new passive ability, Oakheart Casting Expertise. All Sentinel classes use summoned allies and spirit companions. Keep them safe in battlefield. They learn to carefully shape their offensive spells. What this ability allows us to do is force our allies to instantly pass saves against our AoE damaging spells. This character is going to be using primarily AoE battlefield control spells, and it's really great to be able to have our allies that are in range not getting as much damage as they would. For our new spell, we are going to be taking Long Strider because this is a great utility spell that increases our movement speed by 3 meters, and we can just apply it to every single one of our allies and get a nice boost to our movement. At level 3, we get a new passive called Spring Child. You are full with Vitality of Spring. You can channel this through your healing spells. When casting a healing spell, the target regains additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level, which is really awesome. We get an extra 2 healing plus however many we get. So we upcast Healing Word to 3rd level. It's going to be 2 plus 3, 5 extra healing on that. It's really awesome just to be able to get extra healing out of it. We also get access to our next new summon, a Badger, which we can cast using a level 2 spell slot. The Badger can burrow under the ground and pop up elsewhere and surprise our enemies, which is really fun and just a unique way to be able to play around with it. Additionally, we get the Enlarge/Reduce spell, which is really useful to pop on one of our summons, which I am going to be using on the Owlbear a lot to make him larger, which is going to mean that Halsin is absolutely going to demolish Grim with this enlarged Owlbear. If you know, you know. For our next spell, we are going to be taking Spike Growth. This is a really great area control spell that does 2d4 piercing damage for every 1.5 meters that an enemy moves, or that anyone moves in that area. So it's just going to be able to, it's just one of the best area control spells in the game. I love it. It's really powerful. At level 4, we get access to another new spell and a feat. For our spell, we are going to grab Healing Spirit from Mystra Spells. This gives us a fun way to call upon another animal spirit to heal our allies 5 times, and because of our subclass passive, we get 4 additional HP per heal on top of it, being a 2nd level spell. 2 plus 2. You can read here, calls forth a nature spirit to soothe the wounded. Each creature can only be healed once per turn, expires after healing 5 times. This is a really great spell to be able to just kind of pass a little raven spirit up in the air and be able to heal our allies, which is really great because we're going to have a lot of allies at our... Speaking of feat, for our feat, we're going to be taking an ability score improvement so we can get our wisdom up to a 20 and boom, easy pick. At level 5, we gain Companion's Bond, which adds our proficiency bonus to our pet's armor class and damage rolls, which is really great. It's going to boost the survivability of our Oakheart pet. This is really great because it's just going to make our Owlbear even stronger, which is really nice. We also get our next animal summon, which is a boar. Really fun. Additionally, we learn Font of Mending, which does 2d8 plus 5 healing, and is only available outside of combat. It's a really great spell to just be able to, after combat, to take all of our allies and give them a nice boost. It's kind of like Prayer of Healing, but for the Oakheart Sentinel. Really awesome. For our next chosen spell, we now have access to 3rd level spells, and we are going to be picking Erupting Earth. This is from Mystra Spells and does 3d12 bludgeoning damage and makes the ground muddy, slowing down our enemies and also allies that go into it, but we're going to use a specific item that helps to negate that. This is great damage and also really good crowd control in a huge area, a 6-meter radius, so that's really awesome. At level 6, we primarily get a new spell, and I am going to be taking Tidal Wave. This is also from Mystra Spells and does 4d8 bludgeoning damage and knocks enemies prone in a 18-meter area of effect. This is really huge, really great for both doing damage, controlling an area, and setting up prone on our enemies to give our companions advantage on their attack rolls, because as a tidal wave, it's going to knock our enemies prone, which is really, really nice. Because it sets a wet surface, it's also going to make our enemies wet, which sets up our vulnerabilities for our other party members, which is really cool to have on a druid. At level 7, our pet owlbear Honeywise is going to get a big upgrade. With exceptional training, your animal companion can dash, disengage, and help as a bonus action. This does not apply to our summons, but it applies to our animal companion, which is our owlbear. So our owlbear is now super powerful and can dash, disengage, and help on a bonus action, which is really nice because being able to have a companion that can help on a bonus action is really great, especially when you get to the Merkle fight at the end of Act 2. We also get a new animal summon, an arachnid, which can spit webs and also wrap our enemies up in a cocoon, which is really fun and really cool to be able to add another layer of battlefield control. Additionally, we get access to the spell Revivify, which is very nice to have, allows us to revive our allies if for whatever reason they go down. For our chosen spell, we are going to be taking Conjure Woodland Being. This is one of the best summons in the vanilla game because it gives us a dryad, which can in turn get its own woodwode summon. So your summon can summon a summon. It can cast Spike Growth, which is really awesome, which means that we don't have to concentrate on it. And the woodwode can entangle our enemies too. Since we now have the dryad that can cast Spike Growth, we are actually going to go into our replace spell section and drop out Spike Growth because we no longer need to concentrate on it. And we are going to trade it out for Gust of Wind. This is a second level spell that summons a strong wind that clears all clouds and pushes creatures back 5 meters, forcing them off balance. Really fun. At level 8, we get access to a new spell and a feat. And since we traded out Spike Growth and no longer have to concentrate on it, we are going to be taking a really cool spell from Mystra spells called Guardian of Nature. This spell allows us to take on 2 new forms that have different benefits, one of which is a beast form, and the other is called the Giant Tree, which is what we'll be using. This is the spell that brings everything together and solidifies Halsin's place as the Chosen of Silvanus, a true guardian and master of wild nature. Whether we're sundering the ground, erupting spikes everywhere, calling upon our animal spirits, or using the power of elements to attack our enemies, we have essentially become the living embodiment of Silvanus at this point. For our feat, we're going to be taking Martial Adept, actually, because this is going to give us 2 maneuvers from the Battle Master subclass and gain a superiority die to fuel them. You regain expended superiority dice after a short or long rest. The reason that we want to take Martial Adept is because it's going to give us our superiority die so that we can take Riposte. When a hostile creature misses you with a melee attack, expend a superiority die to retaliate with a powerful strike that deals damage with your weapon. So this is really cool because we're not going to be wanting to do our melee attacks on our action because we have much better uses of our action via our spells. So what this is going to enable us to do is just do a melee attack whenever an enemy misses us, which is really nice. For our other Martial Adept feat passive, we are going to be using Evasive Footwork. You can evade attacks by imposing disadvantage on melee attacks against you for a round. This is really great if, for whatever reason, we get surrounded by enemies and we want to impose disadvantage on melee attacks against us. So it's just going to give us a little bit more survivability since we don't have the highest armor class. Level 9, we learn our next animal summon, and this one is a very cool one, a Displacer Beast. Boom! We also get access to Primal Call, a 5th level spell that lets out a scream that will bolster your animals. This is a really cool spell that allows us to give our animal summons Divine Favor for 4 turns, giving them 1d4 radiant damage on each attack from Silvanus, and one other buff that I can't recall at the moment. We'll go ahead and look at that when we get there. Since we now also have access to 5th level spells, we are going to be taking Conjure Elemental. This is one of the best spells in the game and just gives us an extra summon to play with. As the Chosen of Silvanus, I think it makes sense to be able to call down an elemental of our choice because it is all about nature and the elements. When we reach level 10, we gain access to Bestial Fury. Your bond with your companion has deepened, unlocking their inner strength and giving them an extra attack. So now our owlbear companion is even stronger. We also get access to a new spell, and because we have access to 5th level spells, I'm going to be taking Insect Plague. This is probably my favorite area control spell in the game. It does 4d10 piercing damage, makes the area difficult terrain, and stacks with Spike Growth, so you can do stupid damage if you have your Dryad casting Spike Growth, and then you put your Insect Plague over it. You just have a crazy difficult terrain there to play around with. At level 11, we learn how to summon our capstone animal summon, a Bulette. The Bulette does absolutely nasty damage. I mean, we all remember what it was like to fight one in the Underdark, right? But now we have one on our side. We also get access to the Heal spell, which does 70 healing and removes blindness and any diseases from our companions. Really awesome if we just want a big healing nuke, I guess. For our chosen spell, we are going to be taking Hero's Feast, the best buff in the game. This spell can be applied to all of our allies, all of our companions, ourselves, and everybody around us to give us immunity to poisoned diseases and frighten. We get more HP, and we also get advantage on wisdom saving throws. This is the easiest spell choice I'll ever have. I love this spell. It is awesome. It also gives us a bunch of extra camp supplies. So boom, easy pick, Hero's Feast, one of my favorite spells in the game. It also stacks with aid, so if you have a character with aid, you can give yourself an insane amount of health. It's crazy the amount of health that we're going to be getting out of this. It's kind of overpowered, but I really love it. And finally, when we reach level 12, we get a new spell and our final feat. For our spell, we want to take Lesser Regeneration, which comes to us from Mystra spells. It doesn't require concentration and will heal any ally for 10 HP per turn for 10 turns for a total of 100 hit points. We can pop this on ourselves or a tanky ally or just a summon, just to give it some extra survivability so that it's always regenerating 10 HP per turn, which is really nice. For our final feat, we are going to be scrolling down so that we can take the Sentinel feat. We are now a true Sentinel. The main reason we want this feat is because we have so many allies that one is bound to be attacked next to us, which will trigger an attack from our empowered shillelagh. When an enemy within melee range attacks an ally, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack against that enemy. Target ally must not have the Sentinel feat. You gain advantage on opportunity attacks, and when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, it can no longer move the rest of its turn. So now we have advantage on our opportunity attacks, and when an enemy either hits our allies or hits us in range, we can retaliate with our riposte or with our Sentinel attack, which is really awesome. It turns us into a true Oakheart Sentinel. But now that that takes care of all the leveling for the Oakheart Sentinel build, let's pop out and look at some of the gear that makes Halsin turn into a literal tree guardian. For our helmet, we are going to be using the Circlet of Hunting. This is going to give us a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls to enemies inflicted with Hunter's Mark, which we use on a bonus action, so that just helps us to be more accurate in general. For our chest piece, we want to go with the Barkskin Armor. This armor gives us permanent barkskin, bringing our AC to 16 and giving us advantage on Constitution saving throws. When you wear your camp clothes, and here we have Halsin wearing the Angelic Scion clothes, you can see that the Barkskin spell literally turns your character's skin into bark. We are a tree now. The main drawback of barkskin is that we can't bring our AC above 16 either, despite our shield, which kind of sucks. It's quite unfortunate that the spell works this way. If you wanted to trade out the Barkskin armor for the Armor of Landfall, which is available when you get to Act 3, you could potentially raise your armor class by 1 while gaining a +1 to spell save DC and also learning the Plant Growth spell. It can also apply healing when you're standing in a Plant Growth surface or a Vine surface, which is really nice, but we already have so much healing that this is not super useful for us. If you see here, when I pop it on, it brings our AC up to 17. One armor class of difference isn't a huge deal to me, and I really like the look of the Barkskin spell, so I'm just going to keep it, even though it's not optimal at all. Because we have a low AC, we will be getting targeted often by the enemy AI, so it's definitely a good idea for us to keep our distance in combat. For our boots, we want the Boots of Genial Striding. Most of our spells will be inflicting difficult terrain, so it behooves us to be able to walk those areas freely. For our amulet, we want to take the Broodmother's Revenge, which you can get from Kaga. This is going to add 1d6 poison damage to your weapon when you are healed, and once we get to Act 3, we're going to be triggering this on every turn with the Ring of Regeneration. The Ring of Regeneration will apply 1d4 hit points of healing to ourselves with each at the beginning of every turn, so it's going to immediately trigger the Broodmother's Revenge, which will add 1d6 poison damage to our weapon, which is our shillelagh here. Additionally, we want to use the Ring of Salving, which will restore an additional 2 hit points every time you heal another creature, so this means that our heals that are getting a 2 plus the spell level plus another 2. Really awesome, just gives more healing across the board, which will really help keep our allies alive. To complement our Broodmother's Revenge, we are going to be using the Poisoner's Gloves. When you deal poison damage, the target needs to succeed a Constitution saving throw or become poisoned. This is really great because it's just going to mean we're always going to be doing that poison damage because we're going to be triggering our poison effect on our weapon, which is going to then cause our enemies to save for poison to become poisoned. Adding even more synergy to that, we are going to be rocking the Derivation Cloak. When you poison a foe, you heal yourself for 1d4 hit points. So every time that you then do that, you're going to poison a foe, pop yourself another 1d4 heal, which will then further trigger the Broodmother's Revenge, which is already being triggered by Ring of Regeneration, but it's always great to have that extra bit of healing so that we can stay alive longer. When you're early in the game, before we get access to the Ring of Regeneration, we're going to be triggering that initial poison damage by eating good berries at the beginning of combat. Eat a berry, gain poison weapon. For our bow, we want the Hunting Shortbow, which gives us advantage against monstrosity enemies and another free use of Hunter's Mark. We also get a +1 weapon enchantment. We don't often do range attacks with this build, but you very much can if you so decided to. And for our weapon, we want to use the Pale Oak, a staff which grants us immunity to druidic vines that normally ensnare, so we can traverse more of our area of effects with ease. We're also going to wear the Iron Vine Shield, which makes it so that if you have Shillelagh activated, the attackers will take piercing damage just from touching us. We're always going to have our Shillelagh activated, so enemies will always be taking 5 piercing damage just for touching us. That pretty much does it for all of the gear for this character, so let's go ahead and look at how we are going to set up ourselves with our companions. So the first companion that we want to get for us is we can either get a classic companion or an Oakheart companion. I'm going to go with the Oakheart companions, and you can see we have a few different options here. We have the Spirit Eagle, the Tainted Bear, the Blink Dog, the Saber Cat, the Winter Wolf, and the Owl Bear. So these are really cool. They each have their own different combinations here. The Winter Wolves with their resistance to cold are perfect companions for Frost Weavers. The Saber Cat is really good for stealth. The Blink Dog is really good at kind of fey magic. They're each kind of geared towards each of the subclasses. So for us, I'm going to be taking the Owlbear because how much fun is it to have an owlbear pet? Now we have an owlbear named Honeywise, and our owlbear has some really cool abilities. It can activate Mother's Desperation, increasing its strength by 3, while armor class is reduced by 1 until long rest, which is really awesome. While we're using that, we can then do multi-attack, which is really cool. And because we have a bunch of bonuses, we have access to our dash and our help action and our disengage on a bonus action, which is really cool. And this character has extra attack.
What shall it be?
We're also going to summon in our hyena. And we now have a hyena that can move really fast and do a bunch of bites, I guess. Then we're going to go ahead and summon in our badger companion right here. Now we have a badger. Let's follow that up with our woodland being. The woodland being is going to apply the resistance to poison damage, which is really nice. And now that we have our woodland being, we're going to grab her and also get Fallen Lover, which is going to spawn in a woodwood.
I'm ready. Whatever
We can go back to Halsin, and now that we have that, we are going to go ahead and summon our boar. Let's find space for it. Now we have a boar. The next summon that we want to grab is our arachnid, which I'm going to put right there. Now we have Aranea Major. Additionally, we want to go ahead and summon our Displacer Beast, which is next in line. And now we have a Displacer Beast. The Displacer Beast is really cool because it can hit enemies with a Tentacle Whip, or it can also displace enemies, leaving behind an illusory copy on a bonus action. Really powerful. And it can also just do the illusory copy in general. You can only do it in combat, but it will then add an extra companion that is hitting enemies and really powerful.
There is much to do.
The next animal companion that we want to grab is our Bulette, which is probably the coolest one we have access to, and I'm going to go ahead and pop it right there. Just jumped out of thin air, and we have a Bulette. How freaking cool is that? And last but certainly not least, we are going to grab our Elemental, and we are going to be using a 6th level spell slot just because we want to summon a Water Myrmidon, because this is my favorite elemental in the game. One of the most powerful ones we have access to. It can both heal us and also do crazy ice damage. I really love the Healing Vapors ability that it has, which does both poison and also heals us, which is really cool. You also have Explosive Icicle and Hebel Strike, which is really fun.
What comes next?
The next thing that we want to do is pop our Oak Branch so that we can give ourselves our Shillelagh. And as you can see, we now have a 7 to 17, 2d6 plus 5 damage. The plus 5 is coming from our Wisdom, and 2d6 is the Oak Branch. I think it pairs really well, considering our staff is also called the Pale Oak. The next thing we want to do is use Longstrider to go ahead and give all of our allies here a nice big boost to, you know, our movement speed, but I'm going to pretend that I did everybody. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do all of them. The next thing that you want to do is use your Hero's Feast, which is the most powerful buff that we have. It's going to apply to all of them. Boom. Everyone is now thoroughly stuffed. Thoroughly stuffed means that we have our huge bonus. Wisdom saving throw advantage, hit points are increased by 12, no more frightened, no more poisons, and no more diseases. Really powerful ability to have. We also have spawned this box of feast supplies here, which is just some cat food that we can use for the next night. 40 supplies, really cool. But now that we have all of our summons ready to go, let's pop down to some combat over here and see what we can take care of. Come along, friends. Where are they all going? So now that we have our companions set up and ready to go, we're going to start by applying our Guardian of Nature. We're going to be using the Guardian of Nature Giant Tree version. Your skin turns to bark and leaves begin to sprout from your hair. Gain 10 temporary hit points. Gain advantage on Constitution saving throws. Make Dexterity and Wisdom-based attack rolls with advantage. The area within 5 meters of you is now considered difficult terrain. So this is a really cool ability that is going to apply the essence of the nature and Silvanus and the wilds with us and turn us into the full idol Chosen of Silvanus. We're going to go ahead and pop it on right there and put ourselves in turn-based mode so that we're not wasting turns on it. And then we are going to grab our Primal Call, which is going to use our action and is going to bolster our animals. And as we have here, I'm going to go ahead and use it. And now it applies it to a bunch of other random things, but the main purpose here is that our allies get access to Divine Favor and Shield of Faith. Shield of Faith are really fun because now they have increased armor class, and they also have Divine Favor, which means that they're doing an extra 1d4 radiant damage with each of their attacks. Now that we have our ability active, let's go ahead and get our combat started. I'm going to grab Halsin here. We're going to start combat by using Erupting Earth, and we are going to upcast it to level 4 just because I want to do some extra damage. And you can see here, we're going to have this big area of effect, and that is going to allow us to sunder the earth.
You were witnessed assaulting someone.
Now we're going to attack. That's fine. That's fine. So a lot of our lower level summons are low on health because they don't naturally have a bunch, so they're probably not going to last very long, but that's okay because they're lower level summons and don't have a ton of use for us at this point anyway. We really want to focus on our owlbear and our bulette and our spider and the displacer beast are kind of our bread and butter here. When you're early in the game, the boar and the badger are very helpful, but in the later parts of the game, they just kind of fall off as the bulette kind of takes precedence over everything else. So now that we have this right here, we're going to grab our elemental as well, and our elemental is going to do some explosive icicle, which is a really powerful spell. Do it right here. Oh, I missed one. How did I miss all three? That's unfortunate.
Enemies afoot.
Now that we have Halsin, let's grab Halsin and send him over here because we don't want to impose difficult terrain on all of our allies. So we're going to slip over here, and then we are going to use... Does anyone need some healing right now? Let's give our spider a level 1 healing word so we can see what that does. It normally does 1d4, but it's going to do 1d4 plus 5. Let's see what it does. Plus 2, plus 3, plus 7. And our spider is back to full health. Let's end our turn. And now it's our spider's turn. And our spider is going to come over here and do something fun. We're going to cocoon this guy, or try to. He's cocooned. Cocooned is going to be really cool because cocoon means that trapped in a spider's web can't move or take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. And the condition ends upon taking damage. So if we just choose not to damage this guy, then he's just kind of trapped there. Now we have our owlbear, and we're going to activate our Mother's Desperation. Quietly. And then we are going to... Let's start with a Crushing Flight. Crushing Flight is really fun. And we're going to pop him... Who do I hate the most? We're going to have our owlbear do our Crushing Flight right here. Jump! Go, Honeywise! Now, he's prone, and he is something else. But, let's see. Let's attack this guy, just because I have my multi-attack. 20. And a miss. That's okay. We still have an extra attack. 17. Now that guy's dead. And we have officially started combat. Yeah, throw that grenade at me if you want. Miss! And now we have our Woodwode, who's going to come over here and give this guy a smack. Aw, miss. Oh well. Can't win them all. We're going to grab our Woodwode and roll over here. And our Woodwode is going to put down a Spike Growth. Unfortunately, this will affect our Honeywise owlbear here, but that's okay because Honeywise has 111 HP, so not a terrible problem. We're going to go ahead and apply Good Berry because we need a little bit of health. Now we have our boar, and why can't our boar move? It's dumb. Over here. Up here. Now our boar is going to go ahead and charge at this guy. Oh! Miss. Oh well. It's badger time, and our badger is gonna burrow. And where's he gonna burrow at? He's gonna burrow here. Sweet. Boink. Prone. Prone. And he's in the spike growth, but I don't really care because he only has 25 health. Let's roll over here, and we're going to make this guy's life hell using our Displace ability, which does 2d8 psychic damage, and will leave behind an illusory copy, and it uses our bonus action, so we're going to grab this guy, and we're going to teleport over here. Left behind a Displacer Beast, did 2 damage. Now we can attack him. So we have him isolated. Let's hit him twice. Missed once, that's okay. Yeah, you can try. You can try to mass cure wounds all you want. Our illusory copy doesn't really do much because it just kind of stays in the area and applies its own damage when it attacks. Now it's our Bulette's turn, and our Bulette is going to start by doing a Deadly Leap, one of my favorite abilities, and we're going to go ahead and pop it right here, in the middle of these 3 guys. Yo! Shink! Just like the one you get in the Underdark. And now what we can do is, still with our attacks, we have advantage on all these guys who are now prone. So, how much health do they have? Let's kill this guy. 35 health, and he's dead. I don't like you, Fistmirin. You're gonna volley me, aren't you? Oh no, you're coming down. That's great, because volley pisses me off. Oh, he's still gonna do volley. Whatever. Okay, our spike growth got lost. We got a critical hit on our Displacer Beast, but that's alright. It's an illusory copy. Who cares? Why'd you run down to do that? That's so weird. The AI is very buggy. Volley me again, bud. Like our Dryad is gone, which means our Woodwood has also disappeared. Oh no, it hasn't. Our Woodwood stays. Cool. Now that we have guy, we're gonna do a Hemel Strike on him. We missed. That's all right. Can't win them all. Now we have Halsin, who is gonna do something fun. What's he gonna do though? You know, Halsin's just gonna come over here and hit this guy.
Silvanus, let me strike true.
5, 6, and 15 with some poison damage right there. He doesn't have extra attack, so it's not really the most optimal thing. I could have used a spell, but I didn't really want to do a giant spell for this tiny little area. And we have our spider, who is going to just give a little bite. And that's bite, yeah. Not enough movement. Let's jump then. Now we're going... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And camera movements. Okay, so we have our owlbear. Pop. Critical hit, dead. Let's roll over here and do our multi-attack on this guy. This one. Only did 1. That's unfortunate. I must not have clicked the right button. And it's Woodwode's turn. Woodwode is going to hit this guy right here. Or not. Our boar is going to try to hit that guy. Or our boar is going to charge over here. No, boar can't really do anything. We're going to have our badger burrow over here. And we got a prony, which means we have advantage on this attack. And he's dead. We have Deadly Leap, and because crazy... Oh, it's interrupted. Oh, well. Well, let's just hit this guy then. Yes. Oh, well. Yeah, you can ensnare me all you want. I'm safe. Grab our elemental, and our elemental is going to go... This guy's kind of driving me crazy, so I'm going to come over here. And let's hit him with a Hemel Strike. Boom. Bye, bye, bye.
Let us see the battle won.
Now we have Halsin, who is going to do something real nasty by Thorn Whipping this guy. Oh, he's immobile. Let's do this then. Infestation! End our turn. Now we have Owlbear. Let's actually leap. Let's leap over here. This guy has been infestationed and poisoned on account of Halsin's poison attack, which means we're gonna hit him. Ouchie. Hit him again. Ouchie! Ouchie! He's dead. Now we can run back a little bit. And Woodwode's gonna give him a hit. Miss. Oh, well. And we have Badger time. Come here, Badger. Rock and roll! Oh, Badger time! And we got a prony. So now we can take our Displacer Beast and run on over home. Oh. Can't do that. Let's dash them. We're gonna dash over over here. And we're gonna use our bonus action Displace to grab this guy and pull him right into the thick of our summons. He don't like that, does he? Let's recopy advantages. That's happened sometimes. It's Bulette's turn, and Bulette is feeling angry. So Bulette is going to do a little leap. Make a prony. Woo! That must have hurt. Let's hit this guy. Oh, I don't have any more movement speed. Well, we can use our Corrosive Phlegm instead, and let's put it over there. Spit! He's dead. You can ensnare me all you want. I will survive. Now we're going to Elemental Warp around here. I have the power of nature on my side. We're gonna Hemo Strike. And he's dead. And just like that, we've taken him out. And now we get to use our Font of Mending here to give our allies a nice big heal. Boom, boom, boom. Easy peasy. Look at that. We lost a few of our companions, but that is not the end of the world because we killed all the fish guys here. And we got everything boom, boom, boom taken care of. But that just about does it for this build guide for the Oakheart Sentinel class for Chosen of Silvanus Halsin. What do you think of this build? It's not super overpowered like a lot of the modded classes have been, but it is much more in line with D&D and tabletop because it uses the 3.5e inspired kind of druidic playstyle. Although you're not using your wild shapes, you have access to a large amount of very powerful summons here, which are really cool and just give you a bunch of different options to play around with. Some of them are very powerful, like this Owlbear and the Bulette, but they are not so overpowered that it feels like you're really destroying the game because you still lose a bunch of your smaller ones, like the Badger almost didn't survive, and our Boar and our Spider, and who else? Our Dryad, a bunch of them did not survive. That happens. But when you get to the later parts of the game, we get some really powerful summons that are going to keep us alive and do some really great damage for it. The next character we're going to be working on is Jaheira, so get excited for that. That was going to be our next thematic modded build, so I am really excited to get that one going. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see y'all in the next one.